taking off in 5, 4, 3, 2. Yo, 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 yo. It's your boy T.O. As you know.
It's your boy O-Rain, real name, no games, no gimmicks.
Yo, it's the motherfucking Fade Podcast, the one-stop shop for everything TV, media, and film related, along with any other goddamn thing we want to talk about, coming to you live direct, Proof of Concept Studios. What is up? What's going on? How you living?
Living good, bro.
Yeah.
Drinking a LaCroix.
Oh, shit.
Which you apparently hate for some reason.
Yeah, you're a middle-aged white woman is, I think...
See, why did we just give them the entire beverage?
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
you
these
know
are
why?
very good
Because they taste like nothing. That's why.
It's good. It's not. It's supposed to be very. It's
yeah.
a very simple, drinkable,
it's
sparkling water.
It's the unseasoned version of drinks. Yeah.
What is like other than drinking soda?
Yeah.
What is your preference to like? If you're drinking like a sparkling water,
I don't drink soda. I don't drink sparkling water. Why? What do I need bubbles for? Am I 5? Like what? I need a little fizz. Is that what you need?
Yeah.
You need a little
yeah. Yes.
Why do you need fizz?
A little bit of fizz, a little bit of flavor.
Yeah.
It makes it 0 calories. It makes it a little bit zero calories, zero sweetener.
Yeah.
Zero
sodium. Just drink water.
It's as simple of a a drinkable kind of like soda.
Yeah.
Type drink.
Do they have this written on there? Is that why you're staring at it so intently?
Yeah, I'm looking at all of the nutritional facts on the back. It's very
nutritional
simple.
facts. It should just be.
It's just carbonated water with a little bit of flavor.
Yeah,
or you could just drink regular water.
Yeah, just drink water. Is I think the point here. See what I have? Free. Or actually, it's not free. I actually pay for this.
See, that's unseasoned. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
regular
I know it's
boring.
It's water.
It's boring. Add some fizz to it. Add some flavor to it.
That's pretending to be seasoned when it's not.
Fizz and flavor your life.
It's pretending to be.
Fizz and flavor your life.
I hate the fraud. The fraudness.
Watch this.
Yeah.
Fresh. You see that?
I don't like the gulp that
now
happened
you sip.
there. No, thank you.
Gonna be like gulp. And that's it. There's no at the end, like a Pepsi commercial.
I don't like the satisfaction that you said that with.
It was satisfying.
Is that your bedroom satisfaction? Is that what you?
Yeah, that would be very weird. That would be very weird.
Every night,
she's just like, "Thanks, nigga." Was it refreshing, or is that just your final move? That'd be weird if she did it too.
Yeah, it's weird when everybody does it.
Yeah, if anyone goes in the bedroom,
that's
an
leave
instant,
immediately.
Yeah, that's an instant. All right, my Uber's outside.
Grab your
it could
clothes.
Be the fucking middle of the night, in the dead of winters.
No, you gotta go. Snowstorm be damned. Yeah, man. Let's just quickly jump into this thing. Let's talk about some movies and shit that's coming out this week. Shotgun Wedding. Are you gonna watch that? Do you remember the controversy surrounding this film?
In this movie with Jennifer Lopez,
the Jennifer Lopez project.
Who else is in it?
This is Josh Duhamel, or is that his name, right?
Yeah,
Josh
he used
Duhamel,
to be Fergie's. He and Fergie's.
Damn, that's how he's known, as Fergie's ex. That's your credit to fame. This man has 90 titles under his belt in terms of movies he's been
Fergie's
in.
Fergie's ex.
Fair enough. But the reason why there was a lot of controversy with this movie, or not a lot, but some controversy with this movie, is because this originally starred Armie Hammer, who was supposed to be in this movie, and then it came out that he was kind of a cannibal a little bit, and it still sounds so fucking weird when you what.
What was he doing again? I know he was
eating. He liked to eat flesh or something like that, or. He liked to bite. Basically, he was into some really weird kinky shit.
Yeah.
That it was, and I still don't understand exactly. And I could just be ignorant to what all the facts are, but it's still, I think, a mystery to me in terms of whether it was consensual.
Actually doing.
I actually went back and listened to this particular podcast that we had a few different times. It was like consensual non-consent.
Yeah.
And anyways, so he got wrapped up with that whole thing. So needless to say, his career is over.
Yo, that's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just be like, I was into some super, super wild shit, crossed a lot of boundaries, and then done.
Yeah, it depends on what you're talking about, right?
No, I think in his case, it probably was justified. Him being hey, we gotta get you out of here, dude.
Yeah, again, I'm still very sketchy in terms of what.
Yeah, how much consent is non-consent? You know what I mean?
Consent is non-consent.
Did they were there safe words and they were pineapple?
No,
and he was just like.
No, but this is the thing that we argued about. If we go back and listen to that particular podcast, was that I think you were trying to posit that in order to have the true effect, you can't really have stuff like safe words and things like that. But my problem is like, well, then how do you fucking know? Like, if somebody crosses a line,
I don't think I would have said that. I think I said that like the whole point of it.
On tape.
The whole point of it is to like kind of push those boundaries, right? This is consensual, but there's also an aspect of it that like, hey, this is like non-consent. Like, just do it. You know what I mean? Like, take advantage of it. But yes, there has to be some type of like mechanism to be like, all right, we've gone too far. And what that thing is, you have to be very clear about that thing with your partner.
Well, now you sound like me, because that's what I was trying to say, and you were saying something very different.
I don't think so. Okay. I got to go back and listen.
You got to go back and listen. But anyways, so that movie comes out this or just came out this week.
That's on Amazon Prime, right? I saw it somewhere recently.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know.
Peacock.
It's Jennifer Lopez's wedding movie.
Yeah, if it was,
if
Armie Hammer was in it, it would have been on Peacock for sure.
Do they allow for this kind of chicanery? They're like, you know what? The more controversial you are,
probably
the better. Yeah, you see them with all the Jeffrey Dahmer documentaries and shit. Was that Peacock or no? That was Netflix.
The Dahmer.
Nah, he'd be on Net. Yeah, he'd be on. This should be on Netflix if it had Armie Hammer.
Probably. Yeah. They're probably the two highest bidders for the film. Peacock and Netflix. Hey,
and then they found out that Armie Hammer wasn't in it. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we're good.
And Amazon Prime stepped in. Bezos is like, I can't lose.
Okay, next week, Knock at the Cabin. A new movie from M. Night Shyamalan.
This looks good.
You notice how we say that about every M. Night Shyamalan movie, and then we watch it and we're like, this is fucking garbage.
I think the only M. Night Shyamalan movie I've ever like really, really liked was what was the one where they're out in the woods?
No, you liked a couple. I can guarantee you liked a couple M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Sure. I mean, I don't think he's as like people like love him or
no.
He's The Happening was great. Isn't that M. Night Shyamalan?
The Happening. I'm not sure if it was.
The Village was really good.
Oof.
I like The Village. This is with Dave Bautista. And who else is like
the dude who's in The Matrix. What's his name?
What's this movie called again?
Knock at the Cabin. He played Agent Smith. The new Agent Smith, in The Matrix. I forget what his name is though.
Jonathan Groff.
Yeah. Who played a great Agent Smith. Weird. And I don't know if we ever did a proper recap. Did we? We probably did, didn't we?
I don't know.
Like a recap of The Matrix.
Great. I mean, he did good. It was good.
No, I thought it was a great performance.
Great.
He wasn't ever going to be what's his name? Who's the dude who originally played Agent Smith?
I don't know his name, but he was fucking great. He was
great. No, he was okay. Anyways, Knock at the Cabin comes out. M. Night Shyamalan, very controversial director, very polarizing director. Mm-hmm. Some people love his movies, some people hate his movies. I personally think that his movies are great upon a first watch. Upon a second watch, they're stupid. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think there's a few movies of his that I've seen multiple times that I still really enjoy. The Happening being one of them.
You see, I can't watch like The Sixth Sense and like enjoy it a second time.
I've seen that movie like 10 times in my life, and I think it's definitely a classic. You don't think The Sixth Sense is a classic film?
No, I think it's a classic film. I'm just saying, like, I can't enjoy it like I did the first time.
It doesn't have that rewatchability.
It doesn't.
Making up words here.
Yeah. No, yeah. It doesn't. I can't rewatch The Sixth Sense. Like, there's some movies you could rewatch. Like, every time I watch The Dark Knight, just fucking amazing, right? Like, but when I watch The Sixth Sense, I'm like, I know what the fuck's coming. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just it prepares you for what the big reveal is, and then when it's revealed, you're like,
After the big reveal, then it's kind of like it's the whole movie. Like, you know what's gonna happen. You know what's coming. It loses its entire like shock factor. Yeah.
Especially
I'll
when
give
you rewatch it. And I remember that the movie that taught me that even at a very early age was Signs. I remember watching Signs the first time, thinking, oh my God, this movie's amazing. Bought it on DVD as soon as it came out on DVD and watched it. I was like, this is so fucking stupid. DVDs. Dude, I love movies. What do you want me to do? While you were out spending money at the club, spending money on Blu-rays. I don't even know if Blu-rays came out at that time. They must have come out later.
The other did not age well.
Yeah, I mean...
Now, Like, great. I mean, no one could foresee.
Streaming coming. I was supposed to fucking know.
Except for the people who created Netflix. They were like, yeah.
Now, even they didn't probably see the turn that took. They were, I'm sure, edging for it, but they I don't know if they could have foreseen that everything would have turned to this sort of streaming, because Netflix had a dual model for a while, right? They were into DVDs and shit.
Yeah.
In fact, that was a majority of their shit before, because it used to be that you could find nothing on Netflix, like in terms of like that you actually wanted to fucking watch, that you had to just order a DVD or something like that, for a lot of the content that you were trying to watch. And then that balance ended up tipping, I would say in the 2010s, to where it's just like, okay, a majority, if not all of their things are streaming versus, I don't even know if they have like a, physical media Netflix side to the business anymore. I highly doubt
like
it.
Rural Alabama, maybe. Like if you search really,
and it
hard
takes
enough,
you 12 days to get the movie that you requested.
Yeah,
it's just it's a stupid.
If you requested and ask hard enough and find that like one place, I feel like Netflix is like, fine, we'll send you the fucking DVD.
Yeah,
don't even send it back.
We'll send signs. You won't like it, but
but yeah, Knock at the Cabin looks good. Rupert Grint is in here. He played what is that kid from Harry Potter? Not Hermione's boyfriend.
Not
Hermione's
Giles.
Boyfriend?
Giles is Buffy.
It was.
I didn't really watch Harry.
Hermione.
Wait, no.
What was the redheaded kid?
It should be easy enough, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have it right here. I can just click on it.
Yeah.
He played fucking. Jesus Christ, kid! Where's the what was the character's name?
Not so easy.
Ron Weasley.
Ron, there you go.
Yeah,
just on the tip of my tongue. Anyways, a lot of people in this movie. I guarantee you, it has an interesting. It sounds like a little bit of an interesting premise, but also it sounds like it could probably be incredibly stupid. I know you remember the movie Old, I think, that he came out more recently with. That was incredibly stupid in what it turned out to be. Oh, come on. We talked about it on
what
the
happened
podcast.
at the end of it.
It was so stupid. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it. But basically, it ended up being that it was all like fictional, like, fuck.
Wasn't there like some type of like, it was like,
it's like a company that was behind it or some shit like that. And yeah, it was just, I just remember it just being really like just dumb. Like, just,
I feel like I really enjoyed the movie before
but then,
that reveal.
But that's what always happens with all of his fucking movies, is that they were like really good until the big reveal, and then you're just like, well, this is fucking stupid. Like, come on. Like, I just sat with you for about an hour and a half, and then in the last 10 minutes, you come up with some bullshit that makes all of it null and void.
I'd say he's 50-50. Some of his shit, like, it's just like, oh my God, that's stupid. Some of it's like,
I will admit, Signs smacked. Not gonna lie. Or not Signs. Not Signs. Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense
is
smacked.
great. I think The Village is great.
The Village is that was also
Old
stupid.
was a great movie. It was just those last 15 minutes.
But that's just it.
The last like 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
That's like saying, hey, he was a good kid until he shot and killed that person. It's like, well, I mean,
Fox News does it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Dylan was he was a straight A student until those
black church,
4 rapes.
And like the cops bought him a cheeseburger.
Yeah. Anyways, 80 for Brady comes out next, or I think it comes out next week. I don't know. Who cares? I fucking
I don't give a fuck about that.
Anyways, in another headlines, new Tomb Raider series in the works. Phoebe Waller. Do you know who she is? She did Fleabag.
Yes. Yep.
Did you watch Fleabag?
Nope.
You should. Yeah, I feel like you would enjoy Fleabag. Great series, by the way. But yeah, and she's kind of doing her thing, because she's about to be in the new Indiana Jones movie alongside Harrison Ford. Who he?
How is he even able to stand upright,
bruh? Like between him and Clint Eastwood, I'm not sure. All these conversations about like, oh my God, what are these people doing to stay young? Are they sacrificing children? I feel like they are, because how the fuck are you Harrison Ford, 8,000 years old, still doing Indiana Jones movies?
Yo, remember what was that movie with Al Pacino and
the Irishman?
The Irishman,
yeah.
And then that fight scene.
Oh my God, dude. He tried to like stomp him, and it was just like, oh God, this is so sad.
no 89-year-old Robert De Niro is gonna win a fight. And that guy was like a younger guy. It's probably half his age, and he just slowly stomped him. And the guy was just like,
he probably had that old man strength. Is that
I think you
I've
lose
been around
that
for a
at
while.
a certain point too. Like you had that old man strength between like 50 and maybe like 65, but like 75, no, it's just
it's
frail.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, that's in the works. Did you end up watching that the Tomb Raider that came out with what's her name, Alicia Vikander, or however you say her name?
I did. It was uninspiring.
Really,
like I didn't love it. Like it was not. It didn't have the same. Now, granted, this has been done before, and it's been done by Angelina Jolie, who like everyone like loves and blah blah blah.
I didn't think those movies were particularly good.
I thought the first Tomb Raider, I mean, it was a bit like theatrical. Like when you go back and watch it now, you're like,
that's an interesting way of putting it.
Well, like it was a lot of fluff. You know what I mean? And like a lot of just like really sexy action shots and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think the purpose of this film was like, we're not gonna like make this so much about like the way she looks and her body and like blah blah blah. And it's gonna be more about like the character, the story, and the action. That's like one of the things that they tried to drive home with this one with Alicia Vikander. You're right. It just didn't really pan out.
Yeah. Yeah, well, high hopes because this is going to be on Amazon Studios. And speaking of Bezos and his lot, which he's not even the fucking CEO anymore.
He's just like the most recognizable name.
Well, no, I think he still owns he's still the
majority shareholder for sure, and I think he's on a chair. He's chairman
he's like
on the board or something like that. But
chairman of the board.
Someone else now holds that CEO title, and good for that person. Like, I just keep my fucking name out of the news. keep my name out of your mouth. I would hire Will
talking
Smith.
about fucking Bezos, right? Like, it's like, he might even still be the CEO. I don't know.
Yeah.
While I'm collecting my checks.
I wouldn't even update my LinkedIn profile.
Why? No, just keep sending
I'm here
the
Monday
checks.
through Friday. Keep my name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
But here's one thing I do like. So it looks like I think so. There's a little line down here. It says Tomb Raider fans over until the new Amazon series. An anime series is scheduled to hit Netflix next year. I have heard about
anime series.
Anime Tomb Raider series.
Interesting.
That's
interesting.
Netflix is also doing a anime series on Stranger Things, which I think that's going to be really interesting because they're going to be able to push it a lot further.
Now, I feel like we use the term anime a little loose here. Like, do we just mean artistically, like the art style, or do we mean some of the themes and?
Well, there are like 10 different anime categories based off of the style of art. There's like you're more traditional. There's manga. There's all this other.
Manga's
shit.
what it's based off of, right? Like manga basically is just comic books.
Yeah,
right.
But like I would say manga is. I think it's kind of like its own style, artistically style of anime, where and then you have your more traditional styles of anime, like Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yeah,
which is more. Some people would say it's more of a cartoon than an anime. I don't get that conversation because it's clearly an anime. Anyway,
well, I think when it came back with Dragon Ball Super, I think that's more of the quote unquote anime, almost like traditional. At least, and I'm very illiterate when it comes to all things anime. So if I'm saying something incorrect. Oh well, but Super, I feel like it's much more. It feels like it's much more in line with. Okay, this feels a little bit more anime to me than the original Dragon Ball Z series. Even Dragon Ball feels a lot more anime. Dragon Ball Z it just is like it feels like its own separate thing.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel. I don't know, and I couldn't really articulate to you exactly why that is, but yeah, I feel like there's a distinct difference. But it's pretty cool that that they're coming out with the Tomb Raider and Stranger Things anime. I would have to.
The X-Men and the Wolverine anime series on Netflix were incredible. Like if you haven't seen them, I highly
feel like I've seen like an episode or two, and I feel like I was like, okay, this is not. It's not bad.
Fire. I mean, like especially the Wolverine one.
Yeah,
fire. Definitely gotta check it out.
Okay, yeah, we'll do. In other news, So I don't know if you know this actress, Mia Goth, or Mia Goth. Mm-hmm. Wait, no, am I getting this incorrect?
Is it Groff? I think it's Groff, Groff. Or is that the other guy who just named?
No, Mia Goth. So basically, she came out with a statement more recently and basically said that The Oscars, it feels like they're basically, she's saying that horror movies don't really get a fair look when it comes to the Oscars because there's like sort of like a stigma that, you know, I guess horror movies shouldn't be taken as seriously as other categories in film. I think she's got a point because there are a lot of horror movies that I feel like are you know, like campy, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that paints horror movie as a genre as like, we can't really take you that serious, you know. But there are some great fucking performances in you know, horror movies. Like I remember watching Hereditary thinking that what's her name? Oh gosh, now I'm gonna forget her name. She was the she was the lead actress.
Toni Collette.
Toni Collette gave a great performance in Hereditary. And I haven't watched. So Mia Goth I think she's popular from the movie X as well as you watching porno over there.
I clicked on this fucking. I tried to close this Acura ad on.
Oh
IMDb,
my god! And then
it played the sound.
Oh my god! It's
beautiful car.
The pop ups are. It used to be pop ups were like reserved for like the sketchy sites, right? Mm-hmm. Now you go on CNN, it's 18 different things popping up at you.
Why is this
like,
Acura ad so
Christ.
Massive and it takes up so much screen space on IMDb?
Like you can't help but fucking
search who was in that movie, not buy a 2023 Acura.
And I don't know about you,
is the electric version too.
But I feel like ads have the opposite effect for me. A majority of the time, it's rare where it does happen sometimes where an ad does like, oh like shit, I do want to, you know, fucking. I've never said I wanted an Arby's sandwich. That's what I was about to say. I was like, I've never, never have I looked at an Arby's ad.
Have you ever been to Arby's?
I have, not recently.
I went to Arby's one time. This was on a road trip 10 years ago.
I think it was on a road trip. Yeah.
I was like, I think I was driving. I had a really far drive, and then I was like, yo, I'm gonna eat at the next place.
Yeah.
And then it was Arby's, and then they had the nasty curly fries. It was soggy, and the food wasn't that good. I was just like, yo,
it's a sad place.
I think I took a few bites, and then I was, you know, I got to stop somewhere else. I think I stopped at like a Taco Bell again.
Threw it out of the window.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh god, you know, very much processed, but still better.
I mean, it's all fucking. The crunch, but you know what? You know the funny thing is that we try to do right. We're like, oh, Arby's is so. It's like it's not really that different than literally any other fast food that you might eat.
Yeah. What? I mean, Arby's is not the same as Taco Bell. They serve a very different style of food. It's
different style of food, but it's the same processed shit. Like it's not. And Taco Bell isn't like leagues better than.
You got to compare Arby's to like another fast food chain that serves their style of thing, their style of sandwiches. No, they do like lunch meats and stuff.
Yeah, but my point remains the same: is that it's all not good for you. But we try to paint Arby's as like, oh my god,
no one tries to paint Arby's as like the best, the healthier version.
Arby's, no, I'm saying the opposite. That Arby's is everybody's like, oh my god, like if you go to Arby's, you know, you're overweight and gross, you know, is the main line with Arby's.
What? Who the fuck is saying this? Listen, if you eat fast food in general, it's not good for you. We all know that, whether it's Arby's, Burger King, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, wherever, it's all bad for you. But I do think I feel like in my mind,
I'm telling myself that Chick-fil-A isn't that bad for you, right? It's not that bad.
I would like to tell. Like whenever I go to eat fast food, if I eat Chick-fil-A, I'm like, well, it's better than Burger King. You know what I mean? Like, but it's all the same shit.
It's all the same shit. It doesn't fucking. It just tastes better, right? Yeah. Like I feel like, and it feels like. I was gonna say it feels like they put more care. They don't really. They don't.
I think the service is so much better. The
service is
McDonald's
for sure.
So it's like, you know what? Like I don't. The person that I ordered from wasn't like, what the fuck do you want? You know what I mean? They're like, hi, welcome. They're like, what would you like?
But that's a testament to these other fast food chains that they can be pieces of shit.
They're just cheap, and you know.
No, than Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, like if you like if you order a meal at Chick-fil-A,
if you order a number one at Chick-fil-A, that's going to set you back about what, $8-9, right?
And at McDonald's, that's like $6 or $7. You know what I mean? So
no. You can build like with a dollar menu, but if you get a comparable like number one at a McDonald's, that's still going to set you back about $8 or $9.
Like a chicken sandwich deluxe at
McDonald's,
Chick-fil-A might be like $11, right? At
a deluxe. Look, we're talking about rich people. We're talking about a deluxe.
A quarter. Not rich people. God, we are in a recession. It might be.
People
are Chick-fil-A
people
like,
looking
I
at
got a penny pinch.
people are fucking looking at eggs these days. It's like, can we come down on these prices?
Chick-fil-A's like, they're like, would you like American cheese or provolone? They're like, that provolone is 15 cents extra. I don't got it.
Yo, we're being assholes. There's actual people out there who actually struggle to afford all this shit.
Yeah. Oh God.
And honestly, like, I went to the grocery store the other day, dude, and like, I think you might have said this. I don't know. Maybe we were talking. We might have just been hanging out. But you were like, yeah, I don't even really go to like. I don't even check for what the fucking. I just buy the shit. Like, I don't really check what the prices are.
That's terrible of me because I'm like probably wasting a shit ton of money, like not.
No, but you can't. Like, you go anywhere right now and try to just like. I went to. I was trying to. I just told you. I just made some General Tso's chicken yesterday, and I was trying to grab all the ingredients for it, and all I needed was some like little sauces here and there, some like spices and things like that, and. Bro, I leave the fucking place. It's like $50, and I was like, I'm carrying 4 bottles with me. Like, what the fuck? What? How?
Yo, it's so easy to go into the grocery store and like, yo, I'm gonna get milk, some eggs, and like cheese. It's basic shit, right?
Yeah.
And then you leave with like 2 bags full of shit, and you spent $85. It's like, how the fuck did this happen?
Problem is you don't even leave with 2 bags full of shit. You just leave with 1 bag with 3 things in it, and you spent $94. And you're just like, wait, how?
Yeah, I saw this thing on Instagram. It was like grocery shopping in like 2019, right? And it was like, you spend $100, and she's like unloading all these bags of groceries. And
that was in 2019?
Like 2019. Like, it's just saying like pre-pandemic, right? Grocery shopping, $100 went a lot further.
People are drunk. This has been, think about when we were kids.
Well, yeah. We're not going to go that far back because
I'm going to go that far back.
Things were a lot different.
Could you imagine? I'd buy the entire fucking store. What do you mean?
Well, like $100, I would say in like 2018, 2019, pre-pandemic, right? Where $100 went a lot further than it goes in 2022, 2023.
I'm not. I need to see some evidence of this because I feel for the past decade, it's been fucking crucial.
Yeah, that's inflation, right? Things are going to get more expensive over time, unfortunately. But it is true that pre-pandemic, $100 at the grocery store went a lot further than it does now, just because of how the pandemic.
I feel like the problem I have with that statement is a lot. That's the thing that's a hang up for me. I understand that things have increased since then. But when we say a lot, I don't know if they've increased that much. Like during the pandemic, I think yes, obviously, but I think post, and it's not. We're not even. I always cringe at the fact that we call it post-pandemic. We're like
we're still in it.
Still in it. It's still happening.
Of how the pandemic impacted like logistics of like getting like how food is shipped and moved across the country to and from grocery stores, the supply chain, right? How the pandemic affected the supply chain
for sure. Yeah,
increased prices. Like we're seeing eggs. 2018 were. Let's say I don't know how much fucking eggs cost. Again, I don't look at the shit. It's like let's say eggs are like $9 right now. Pre-pandemic, they were maybe like $6.50, right? $7. So that $2 increase.
Yeah, but when you say a lot, like to me, that's not.
That's like a 30% increase.
That's a pretty. Like, but I look at that
in
like
a short period of time. Like we've not seen this much of an increase on like certain commodities. Than we've seen.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying is that it's all relative, right? Like when I look at it like holistically of like if eggs cost $2 more, I think we are looking at that from the perspective of eggs, right? But I don't really care what cost $2 more as long as it's $2 more, right? Like I look at it as like a relative thing of just like, well, I don't care what individual thing cost. Oh my, this is a 200% markup on eggs. Because it's like, well, fucking milk has gone up, $3 as well, So like, I'm looking at like the entire thing of just like all of this shit needs to fucking come down, right? Versus like, I think people look at eggs as like, oh, well, the price of eggs hasn't really moved, and now they've moved up 30 cents, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
everything is more expensive. Right. I think certain commodities are more expensive due to like how the pandemic has impacted like just global
for sure.
chain,
I don't disagree with that. Yeah.
those small incremental changes, like for some people, you know, what I mean, eggs going from $7 to $9.
a big difference. That's fair. That's
like,
fair.
Especially if you're like in business, right? Let's say like eggs are very important to your business. Let's say you own a little cafe, right?
Yeah.
And then you're buying eggs by the hundreds on a weekly basis. That $2
adds up.
huge.
Adds up. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why you might go to, especially when you go to restaurants and start and certain, like they're increasing their prices to offset that.
But that's everybody's fucking excuse, right? Everybody's excuse is, well, I'm being charged more. So it's like, we need to find the nigga that's like that, the main nigga who's
who's this starting with? This guy is causing eggs to increase because he like was carrying 200 and then dropped them all.
Yeah, now the price of eggs.
Now I got to pay more when I get eggs on my Chick-fil-A
That is not
sandwich.
the reason why eggs cost so much now. It's definitely just, you know, I don't know.
David
with
at
fucking
the egg supply
fucking
factory ruined everything for everybody.
Son of a bitch. Anyways, I don't know how we got here from Mia Goth, but basically her thing was that, you know, horror movies need to be taken a little bit more seriously. And she thinks that her actual exact quote is, I think that it's very political and that it's not entirely based on the quality of a project per se. I think that there's a lot going on. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen when it comes to nominations categories and that are recognized. Maybe I shouldn't say that either, but I think that that's true. I think a lot of people, you know, know that. I don't know why. And I think, I have to agree with her. And I don't just think this about horror movies, but Spielberg came out with comments more recently about how if The Dark Knight came out today, that it would definitely be nominated for an Oscar. And that wasn't true when The Dark Knight came out 12 years ago now. Was it 2000? No, 14 years. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight is a full-blown teenager. That is insanity.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
That's insane to me, dude. The Dark Knight. That even when I watched it today, I'm like, oh, this came out like yesterday. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It feels about right.
You think
the movie came out a long time ago?
But what I'm saying is, when you watch it, does it feel dated?
No, it doesn't feel dated.
So that's what I'm like. What is going on here?
It doesn't feel as
like,
dated as it is. You know what I mean? It feels like, oh, that movie could have come out like 7 years ago. You know
no,
what I mean?
it could have came out like last year.
The Dark Knight. I wouldn't say last year.
You wouldn't say that.
No, because like
why not?
I've seen the movie more recently, and like again, it doesn't feel like it came out 15 years ago. That means I was like, you know, or 14 years ago. How old was I? I was 20 when that movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, around that time. It doesn't feel like it came out like, you know, in 2019. It feels like it maybe came out in like, you know, 2000 fucking whenever the fuck it did. 2012.
2008.
Like, that seems about
2008
right to me.
is when it came out.
2008.
I think The Dark Knight Rises came out.
If I were to guess, I would have said like, oh, that movie came out like 2015 or something like that. So it doesn't feel as old, but it's definitely like, you know, it's not new.
I feel like the movie could have came out like last year, and I'd have been like, oh yeah, I'm convinced.
I think that's because you love it so much that like
no,
it still feels like
what in it feels like. So for instance, when I watch a movie from the 80s, very much aware that I'm watching a movie from the 80s, the more comparable example is T2, right? Terminator 2. Mm-hmm. That does not feel like a movie that was made in fucking 90 or 91 whenever it came out. That felt like
came out in like 88.
Terminator 2. I think that's the original Terminator. Came out in somewhere in the 80s, like late 80s, mid to late 80s.
Terminator feels like it came out late 90s.
Terminator 2, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is that it doesn't feel like a 90 or 91.
Yeah. I feel like I would have guessed like 97, 98. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep talking about it.
Yeah. So you're right about that. But like, you know, let's be real. Dark Knight is an older film. Anyway, when it comes to this whole Mia Goth's comments, I'm just going to give my quick thoughts here really quickly.
God, disaster.
And I think, did we lose audio?
We lost a lot of things here.
Damn.
How can I get us back on track?
What's this chick from?
Right, there you
go. While we work on, and we today resolves our technical difficulties here. Should we play some elevator music?
No, just keep talking.
So all I was saying was like Mia Goth's her comments are, I get it. Yes, I do think the horror genre does get like an unfair, slight against it, right? Like, it's just because I feel like there's so many bad horror movies that come out that it's hard to look at the genre and be like, oh, this is great. Like, this is something that we should all take seriously. But then again, there are shitty movies that come out all the time. We're going to talk about the list of Razzie, the Razzie 2022 list, shortly towards the end of the show. There's shitty movies that come out all the time, but I do think the horror genre has the most of them. You know what I mean? Like, they do it a lot. There are a lot of shitty horror movies that come out year after year, and they're like the same layup style shit. Haunted house. Family moves into the house. The little girl gets possessed. You know what I mean? Fucking a demon attaches itself to like the dad, and he goes crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of all the same style of shit, and like it. Unlike some other genres, it feels like horror is very rinse and repeat.
But I think that's unfair, and I think that actually goes in line with what Mia Goth is saying. Is that like, or at least maybe the sentiment of what she was trying to say is that like, that's no different than any other category: sci-fi, mystery, drama, whatever. There's 8,000 carbon copies of the same movie, the same style, the same whatever. How many romantic comedies? Like, I'm not saying like.
Yeah, I mean, rom-coms too. There's a lot of shitty rom-coms.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But why is, like, they come out with like a lot of dramatic movies, right? A drama is probably the most generic, and I
like
might be just talking out of my ass.
Film.
Yeah, like it's probably the most generic category that anybody can make like a drama, but that's treated very differently than like a horror movie is just like, well, all of these movies are garbage, when it's like we don't say that same thing with, it's like people, right? It's like just generalizing, right? Of just like, oh, well, all black people do this. I was like, well, hold on now. Like, I don't think all black people do a specific thing. Like, it's just, maybe that one black person you ran into did that thing, or maybe some of these black people, you know what I mean? Like, it's like when we try to generalize like this, I feel like we run ourselves into a weird.
But here's the thing also. I think horror movies are also like very spicy food, right? Therefore, like some people love it, and other people are like, yo, I don't like fucking habanero wings or whatever. Like, I don't like to go that spicy, because at a certain point, when you go beyond a certain like threshold of just discomfort, I don't like it. Yeah. So it's easy to write it off, because horror movies are very, very spicy, and some
because
people
they're not
it.
For everybody.
Yes, they're not for everybody. And also, so on top of that, I do think there generally tends to be a greater lack of creativity in horror. It's like it feels horror genres.
That's interesting.
When like, for example, my ex-girlfriend, she used to love. She loves horror movies, right? Mm-hmm. And she also loves really spicy food, which is why I kind of made that reference.
Yeah.
So whenever we're watching a horror movie, like, we'll be in the horror category, and I'm like, yo, I do not want to watch a horror movie, like, blah blah blah. So I'm already kind of like turned off to it, because I just generally don't like the category. But as we're
you do get a little sweaty when you, which is why you compare
like spicy food. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't like those two things either, right? And
they have the same effect on you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So as we're going through, I remember we were going through this the other day, literally. We're going through the horror genre, the horror category. We're looking at all the movies, and like, it was literally back to back, same shit. House is haunted. Demon is serpent attached itself to dad. The new Honda Civic family car is haunted. They got it from a dealer where the dealership, the woman died there, and her body's still in the car. Like, it's like not very like creative and fun. But again, the genre itself just turns certain people off. So it's easy to dislike for a large group of people who are, hey, I don't like scary shit. I don't like spicy foods. Like, it's just not for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to her point, she does have a point.
Yeah. I think what you were saying is kind of the point and example of just like, well, because it discomforts, like, if you will have a strong opinion about horror movies one way or another. Either you're going to really like them, or you're going to hate them. And I think that's why it kind of gets discounted, but that doesn't speak to like the performances, the creativity that goes on in these movies, because there's like a lot of shitty ones. I feel like we discount it a lot, when in reality it's like, well, why? Like, why do we treat this so much differently than we would an other forms of movie? And I think it's because we feel people feel strongly about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a polarizing category, right? Like, fear is a real thing, and a lot of people are like, "Hey, I do not want to be afraid of the thing. I don't want to watch a movie that like scares me that much. So I'm not even gonna give it a chance to see those really good performances, like we're talking about with Toni Collette in Hereditary. Her performance was stellar. But it's a scary movie, and some people are like, yo, I don't even want to watch it because it's a scary movie.
Yeah.
I do like, and I know you're not a fan of him, but I do like what Jordan Peele is doing. Like, I thought, again, I do not like horror
always
movies.
rooting for Jordan Peele.
No,
I just don't care for his movies.
Anyway, so like, Nope, I thought was fantastic. Like, for someone who doesn't like horror movies, I thought Nope. Did the
now,
performances?
Can you tell me why, as a person who doesn't like horror movies, why you find Nope?
Because it wasn't necessarily about like the horror factor. It wasn't
a horror movie.
It wasn't like a traditional horror movie.
It's
like
not a horror movie.
Everything happens at night. And there's a demon or there's a killer or something like that.
But
well, no, I mean a good percent. His whole goal was like, yo, we can make a horror movie and film it during the daytime. Like a lot of shit also does still happen during the day. Like the big end scene, most of that took place during the daytime, right? When they were at like that rodeo show thing, that like fucking carnival, wherever they were, daytime, and it was still terrifying. But there was story behind it. There was really great performances in that movie, and I think that's why I enjoyed it, because like while it was scary, there were a lot of scary scenes in it, I was still able to be like, all right, this is a great story still. You know what I mean? And the performances were great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole. I feel like it's a trap, right? I'm going to go down a rabbit hole.
Because you don't like Jordan Peele.
I'm gonna refrain from comments on that. But I will say that it does seem that Mia Goth has a point. And I want to go back and watch X and Pearl. She's in a newer movie too. It's called Infinity Pool, and it's with Alex. No, it's not Alex Skarsgård. I don't know. It's one of those guys with a Norwegian name or some shit. And apparently it's supposed to be really weird. I don't know if it's going to be my cup of tea, but anyways, I think it might deserve a look. But
I'll give a horror movie a try, like once a month, maybe once every other month. Like I'm like, fine.
No, dude. The reason why I can't really give horror movies like the good old college try is because when they get me, and it's just I can't.
Bro, I'd be laying in bed like,
what's going on?
Eye open, like what the fuck?
I remember I had that effect with Paranormal Activity 3. I'll never forget because so me and my brother used to be roommates, and he was going to be going away for like months. So he was going to basically
cancel that trip.
Yeah,
come with you.
No,
one of them.
But we went to go see Paranormal Activity the night before he left with my little sister, and so it was just me in the place. And at this point, I hadn't lived by myself at that point.
Yeah.
And so like I had always had like a roommate, whether it's girlfriend or just another roommate. And so this is the first time in my life where it's just me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah,
I live by myself now, so I mean, like, I'm definitely not about to be at the crib tonight.
Oh my God.
Watching fucking, the Axe Murderer's Husband or whatever cheesy horror movies on fucking Tubi.
No, but you know what I can do? I can watch like the old school, like I can watch Halloween, I can watch Jason, I can watch Freddy, all those sort of like 80s slasher movies. Yeah, I can watch.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen most of them all. So like, when we talked about like with M. Night Shyamalan movies, right? Like I know the reveal. I wasn't at Camp Crystal Lake. Jason has no issues with me. Why are you in Baltimore?
Yeah, Jason in Baltimore.
He's like, you went to Wild Lake. I'm like, you have a point.
You got me. A different type of lake, but I don't care.
Just doesn't like lakes. I'm like, learn to swim. It's your fault. All of this, you could have just learned to swim. Yeah, you'd have been fine.
Just swimming lessons, would have did him justice.
Yeah, when all the other kids were at the lake learning to swim, you were in the fucking cabin,
you were
being
fucking
a loser,
stabbing, fucking animals up. Yeah, that's
it's your fault, dude.
That's what's gonna happen.
Missing a life of fun, not being able to swim. Can't even go to the beach.
In other news, Britney Spears, interesting.
It's Britney, bitch.
It's Britney, bitch. I already remember the Michael Scott intro. Was that like a season premiere? I feel like that was a season premiere of like The Office.
Was it?
Where he just like pulled up in like the fucking, I think the top.
He had
down.
the PT Cruiser.
Yeah. He popped the top on it. He showed up. It's Britney, bitch.
God.
Classic.
One of the worst cars ever designed.
For sure. No, 100%. But that's what made it all the much more funny.
Very much Michael Scott car.
Yeah, very much. But Britney Spears had an incident recently where there were some fans who I guess called the cops to do like a wellness check on her because I think they saw that she was either posting some weird stuff or like there was like an incident in like a restaurant where apparently like they were like, oh, like she was like speaking gibberish and that her husband just kind of got up and left her. My whole point to even bring this story up is I remember us talking about this when the documentaries came out. There were like 2 or 3 documentaries that came out at like all the same time.
And I think Netflix did one or
Amazon or some shit. I don't know. And I remember saying this back then. It's like I feel like this is a case where Britney doesn't really matter in this case. But everybody else's opinion seems to matter more than like what's actually going on with her, right? And I said this about the conservatives because she had the conservatorship that her father, I guess, had over her. And he might be a full piece of shit. In fact, probably is, right? But my whole point was the courts and like everybody else seems to be like, well, something needs to happen here, right? Like she's not quite right, but everybody keeps like, because of fandom, it's just like everybody ignores that in favor of just free her, free Britney, which is, again, cool. Her father might have been a piece of shit and he might have been stealing money from her and all this other stuff. That all might be very well and true.
Yeah.
But the fact they even granted the conservatorship, like they don't just do that for like anybody, right? Like it's not like they just roll up to you on the street and like, yo, I think you need a conservatorship. Like just like, no, there's shit that has to like happen and lead up to it. And like for as unreasonable as it might have been that her father ended up being her conservator, it seems like she's still like people kind of in her immediate circle are kind of like, I don't know, fam. Like, I think she needs something. Like,
no, I agree. I think Britney is, the word of the weekend that I've heard people say several times is unhinged.
Yeah.
I think there is something there where maybe she does kind of like need people around her.
There's something like, a little askew here.
And she has access to a lot of resources, right? So like, I think the question is like, do you just let someone, leave them to their own devices? Because it's like she's a human being. If she wants to blow her money, she could blow her money, destroy her career. She could do that. Or do you like someone try and protect someone from themselves?
But that's just it. I think that's the dispute. Is I don't know if that's necessarily what Jamie. I think that's his name, Jamie Lynn Spears.
Her sister.
Is that her or what's her dad's
Jamie
name?
Lynn Spears. I think her dad is like.
Was it Jamie? I think it was Jamie.
Because I know her sister's Jamie Lynn Spears. Yeah, what's the dad's name? Dad Lynn Spears.
Dad Lynn Spears.
Yeah, so Jamie is her sister. What's the dad's name? Like fucking Bob or something.
Probably. I'd have to assume. Anyways, my whole point to even bring this up is that when the documentaries came out.
Oh, it is Jamie Spears.
Yeah, see, I thought
he and his daughter have the same name?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's fine. Don't be sexist. Don't do that.
Well, I mean, who the fuck are you to pass your name on to anybody? The same name of a different gender.
Yeah. Well, Jamie's one of those like isn't it a unisex name?
It's definitely. You could be a guy or a girl.
Yeah, so it's fine.
Oh shit, I get it now. Mom is Lynn Spears, dad is Jamie Spears. Then you got Britney.
Jamie Lynn.
Let's 1 + 1. Let's add this shit up, make it long as fuck. Then they ruined her life.
Yeah, they didn't give her a chance. So the reason again why I brought this up is because there are fans who they're like, oh my God, free Britney, do all this stuff. But it seems like they're not necessarily concerned with Britney so much as is like the idea of Britney, right? Like, and I know that sounds like some bullshit, but it feels true. Like of just like, it's like, are they actually concerned if Britney actually like needs help, or are they just like, do they have nothing else going on in their lives and they're just like, I need something to do and I need to take up this cause, and it seems like Britney's in trouble.
Yeah,
let me make this.
Let me waste the police department's resources because my favorite celebrity didn't post in
to the degree where she had to come out. Yeah, to the degree where she had to come out and was like, "Yo, can you respect my privacy? Like, I know I got fans and stands and all this other shit, but
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
I think the
leave me
fans
to
are
be.
as much a part of this whole Britney Spears problem as like
They
the
are.
family might be. 'Cause,
Yes.
like, the fandom is just as toxic as like her
Yeah.
family and her father. Like they're like, well, we respect your privacy and we want you to be free of the conservatorship,
But also,
you need to post every day,
and we need to know that you're all right.
You got to go live. We need to post every day. We need to be able to see you on TMZ.
Like,
you got to do
bitch.
concerts. Like you got to do a lot. She's like, yo, I've been under this conservatorship thing for like my entire adult life. I just want to like live a little bit and without fucking cameras posted up outside of my house every morning because you guys want to see me.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of like hypocrisy there. It's like free her, but like be a prisoner to our
exactly
to entertain us. You know?
Exactly.
So I feel like these Britney Spears fans need to chill the fuck out too. Like she's probably just chilling at home. Just
I've it's always kind of seemed it's always seemed something's like a bit off. Like I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't watch Britney Spears or pay attention close enough to be like, oh, this is exactly what's going on. But it seems like everything's not quite right.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
I mean, trust me, if I were Britney Spears' neighbor, if I lived next door to her, hey, you're my neighbor, respect your privacy, good morning, neighbor, but I'm also peeking over the fence. Like, what the fuck is going on over there?
Yeah, and she's done well, I was gonna say like she's done stuff like she's just like posted like nude pics on like Instagram and stuff like that. And normally I wouldn't really think like anything of it, but it just seems like a lot of just like erratic behavior. Like there are people who are, this is just them, right? Like they just, whatever. It's my fucking property. So I'm just going to, I'll be naked wherever the fuck I want to be naked on my property. That's some people, but it feels like there are a lot of things that you hear stories about Britney Spears where it's just like, it seems just erratic.
Yeah, I feel like
it just seems like
she is someone who like, I don't think she had like she got her first iPhone after she got out of the conservatorship and she got access back to her own social media. Like she could run her own social media. And like, I feel like to her, she's like, I can do all this shit now that I never was able to do before. So like, she doesn't understand that like, a lot of other celebrities are using Instagram as like a tool to like further their business, their sales, their sell product, blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, yo, I'm outside now. Like here's a picture of me outside. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I feel like it's
in
even,
my living room.
I feel like it's even deeper than that. Like in terms of, and this is why
it's silly to watch, but like the fans want to see it too. And if they don't get enough of it, they're like, well, we got to call the police.
Or there's like, or they want her to behave in certain ways. And when she doesn't behave in that way, they're like, what's going on here? But then we come back to the original idea of that's why she had a fucking conservatorship, because it's like, not everything's like, it doesn't seem like everything's quite right with her, anyways, I don't really give two shits too much about it. It's just interesting how like it feels like, as the saying, the chickens have come home to roost, and who said that? Was that Malcolm X? He famously said, when he's talking about just white people. And he was like,
I do think that was a Malcolm X. I think because I feel like Denzel said it in the Malcolm X movie, but it was a quote from a speech or
I would certainly hope that Denzel wasn't freestyling. Like, I feel like this is what Malcolm
Edison is a great actor. If he made that up, he
was like,
we'll rewrite it into history
as Denzel does. Is like, my man, or what's
it's he was like, no, I think that was it.
Yeah, from Frank Lucas days.
Okay,
Anyways, that's what it is. Anyways, so I'm not even sure if I communicate what I was trying to communicate with that Britney Spears. I find it amusing that now it's like she has to protect herself from the fans that were trying to quote unquote free her.
Yeah.
So now it's just like, okay, you fucking psychos. Like she's even come out and been like, you motherfucker, leave me the fuck alone. Like your obsession with me is fucking weird. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Tyree Nichols. And is it Memphis? Is that where it's at right now? Are you unfamiliar with? Oh, okay. So they released the and unfortunately because you're sitting right in front of a window. Now I'm realizing that
the lighting
is very not great. But oh well. You're light skinned, so it'll that offset. Tyree Nichols. So he was brutalized by police officers, like 5 police officers.
Tyree Nichols, who plays
no, he doesn't. He's just. I think he's just a dude.
Oh shit! I thought we were talking about. I was thinking about the actor who plays Paperboy in Atlanta, and he was also in.
No, that's Brian Tyree, I believe.
Yeah.
Who But yeah. So anyways, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this at least a little bit. The video came out and people were like preparing for this because I think for the past week or so, yeah, goddamn, this guy.
We got a little bit of time.
Yeah. So, anyways, Tyree Nichols, he was brutalized by these cops. And now the video just came out of it. I haven't watched the video myself just because it's like, I can be told what happened. I don't need to see what happened. It's interesting people's reactions to it, because they were expecting, as follows with these type of situations for like protest and things like this to start happening. And what I find is like really interesting is the discourse around this particular, situation is somehow like still polarizing, even though you see 5 cops beat the shit out of a dude. And there's still like an argument of like, what was he doing? Where was he going? How was he doing it?
Yeah.
And it's like, but they're beating him as if like, they're just, it's 5 people, like forget the fact that they're cops. It's just 5 people beating on one person. And it's like, well, how do you have any other interpretation of that other than like, this is an abuse of power. It's because they are cops. They're like, oh, we can do whatever the fuck we want to do. Nobody's gonna give a shit, right? And especially if there's not footage of it, then it's really the times before fucking dash cams and fucking the what do they call it, the
like body cams.
Yeah,
if you listen to old police officers, like whenever they get on like Fox News or any of these like news networks, like the cops who are like, oh, this guy was a cop for 40 years, right?
Yo, he did some
dirt. Whenever you hear them talk, there's always a dislike for the body cam, right? Because like, oh, why are police being
we can't do our jobs?
Yeah, it's like, well, if you can't do your job on camera, that probably means you're not doing your job correctly. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it probably means you're abusing.
Yeah, you're abusing
position.
your power. Yeah. You're taking advantage of your authority. You're not doing your job correctly.
Yeah.
If you're afraid to be, that's why they literally had to pass a law that says like you can record police within a certain distance.
Yeah,
and like police will still arrest people.
Yeah,
for recording
you
them.
over there, stop recording, and it's like
across
what?
The street, they'll come over across the street to you, and like you're interfering with the police investigation.
It's like, what are you talking about?
First of all, you're not an investigator; you're a police officer.
Yeah.
So there is no investigation going on. You're just securing the scene, and I can record it, but like. A lot of people don't understand that law and the differentiation there. So like cops still be arresting people for doing what is actually lawfully correct. But
it's like, even if they did understand, it's like, what the fuck are you going to do? Right. Like, because then what you're going to, the thing that they always get everybody with is resisting arrest. Right.
Yeah.
Or unlawful act or whatever. They'll just drum some stupid shit up and they'll move past the point of like they'll deal with the repercussions later, right? So it's like if it becomes later, like after 18 lawsuits and 20 years later, it's like, all right, well, you got us, all right, fine,
yeah.
we did the thing,
of taxpayer money,
yeah. So it's like to them, it's like whatever, yeah. I think the one thing that I'll say about this before we move on is just that people who are still married to the idea that just because you have a badge, that means whatever you do is lawful. I would beg them to just think. That's it. That's the tweet.
Yeah.
Just think.
Just like, does that
think further?
And usually those people are the people who've never been on the other side of it, right? Until that moment comes where they or their family members,
they cry the hardest out of anybody when the tables are turned.
You're supposed to protect me. It's like, well, they don't protect everybody else, right? Yeah. So like, why do you think that you are the exception to someone who literally will take the law into their own hands and abuse their authority?
Because historically they have been, and I think that what gives you aid and comfort the most is history, right? When history's been on your side, if you've never been punched in the mouth, the first time you get punched in the mouth, it's as if somebody,
it's shocking.
It's a fucking heart attack is what you just had. What happened just now? Just what? But if you're used to it, you're like, oh yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, it's not that serious.
It's happened before.
Yeah, it's happened before to me.
Watching this video, it's tough, man. It's a tough watch because I'm not watching it. You just see 5 cops beating on someone, and these he's unarmed. He's on the ground.
From what I understand, he was saying yo, what the fuck did I do? Talk to me. You know what I mean? What was it recently? Either I watched something. I remember the person literally. I think it was a show or something like that, or maybe it was a movie. The person was just yo, talk. Oh, it wasn't a movie. It was fucking real life. The guy. He was like a army guy.
The army sergeant.
And then the dude was just yo, I understand you pulled me over. Talk to me about what the fuck is going on. Mm-hmm. Why are you pulling me over? Why do I have to get out of my car? And the dude was just no, get the fuck out of the car. And he maced him, and then just yo, you're a person. I'm a person. Just because you put on a fucking badge, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're Terminator now.
I think he had on his uniform too. So he's yo, we are both
just
you're law enforcement, I'm military.
Talk to me like a human being.
Conversation here.
Yeah,
he was just sprayed him.
Unless you believe that your life is in danger, which clearly that officer didn't fucking believe that his life was in danger. And even if you did believe your life is in danger, you have to, there are certain ways you can go about it and some ways you choose not to. But it's just you're a human being. I'm a human being. Let's have a fucking conversation. If you believe that I did something wrong, at least at the bare fucking minimum, explain to me what the fuck is happening. If you believe that you pulled me over because I have a broken taillight or because you think I might have drugs or whatever, okay, explain this to me so I can understand what the fuck is happening.
But we're talking to, we get that, right? But a lot of these police officers, once they get that gun and that badge, there is that surge of just authority, power, right? And it's well, no, I don't have to. Even though the law says I do have to tell you why you're being pulled over, why you're being arrested, there's no, I don't have to. Fuck you, get out of the car. Yeah. So this is tough to watch. Fuck those guys. Fuck those officers. Unfortunately, we've seen this time and time again where officers beat the shit out of somebody, kill somebody, and then they get off. But these are black cops, so I feel they're going to be held accountable.
Maximum sentence is what these guys are going to
get. And it's if you know that, right? You know that I'm a police officer, but I'm still a black man. So while I may have a little bit of the police department's protection, I don't have the federal government protection. I don't have the protection in society. So why commit this kind of crime when you're going to be treated? Well, you are a criminal, but you're not going to get the protection that the white cops will get.
Yeah, I don't think that's what's going through your mind at the moment. I think you're just drunk off the power of you can do whatever the fuck it is you want to do, and it doesn't matter. Yeah. Right? And it's because, and also, too, you think this is the first time they ever beat the shit out of somebody?
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So come on. So I think.
I don't get it on so many levels.
Yeah. I mean, I get it from the standpoint, I feel it's huge. All the shit that happens, I feel we try to chalk up to these people are different. No, they're not. This is human nature. This is what we do when we get power. When we get, especially when we get power by consent, right? So meaning that people as a collective community, a whole, right? Obviously maybe not the black community necessarily, but just the communities as a whole have conceded that, okay, you're a cop, you can do whatever the fuck it is that you want to do, right? Yeah. And then when they do whatever the fuck they want to do, people are like, oh, I can't believe it that they're doing whatever they want to do, right? And it's I don't get it. This is what happens when you
we need make to it acceptable. Rein this in. But there are people who are no, let the police police. That's their job. It's but they're not actually doing their job that they're intended to do. There's abuse of power happening nationally. Police in the United States killed more people last year than any other country in the world.
Yeah, well, and also too when you talk about doing your job, it's when you look at this video,
what not job, one person is doing their job.
What job? What crime are they preventing? Yeah. What's the thing that they're
preventing a man from going home to his family? That's the only thing they prevented.
Yeah, is somebody in immediate danger? Was it did this guy just kill 14 people and he was on the run? No, he's a fucking dude from what I understand. And even if that is the case, is this justice? Is that how we're carrying justice now? A guy who's unarmed, who isn't fighting back, and you're judge, jury, and executioner out there on like this is to me. I see this no different as like this is some gang shit. Like this is like
absolutely.
I mean, so yeah,
this is a gang,
and that's
this is gang violence. This is a beating.
That's how I see that. That's how I see a lot of cops these days. I don't again like I don't subscribe that like all of them.
I feel safer walking past like a group of dudes down here on
Washington
Boulevard
for sure
than I feel walking past four police officers.
Because and I think it's because you in a weird way you can have a conversation with those dudes on the block. If the cops is like once they decide it's a wrap.
Yeah, and let's say you do get into it with those dudes. It just might be a fist fight or a little scuffle or something like that. The police officers, one of them could just be like, he's got a gun, shoot you. Wow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it much more a tougher thing to deal with is because it gets excused.
Yeah,
right.
When the people on writing up a report
exactly and be like, he had some weed on him.
Yeah.
Had to kill him, it's like
he was resisting arrest. Like, what was he being arrested for? That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Anyways,
I got a couple minutes here, so I'm sorry. I was
God,
my time. Dude. My time is my time.
You're reclaiming your time.
There's a time difference that I didn't account for. Central time versus
terrible
Eastern.
At scheduling.
So let's jump into some trailers.
Well, no, forget the trailers.
You want to watch the Shazam trailer?
No, I don't.
Shazam?
I don't care about Shazam trailer.
Yeah, it was tough to get that out.
What the thing I do want to talk about super quick, and we can talk about this until you're ready to go. Is I just watched the Miss Cleo documentary. Call me Miss Cleo. It's interesting. And the main thing that I wanted to kind of like talk about is, so obviously we all had a perception of Miss Cleo, which is that she's a fraud. She's a fraud and she conned people out of all this money, yada yada. But I think that's how the media portrayed it. And the interesting part about the documentary was that it's basically just like two white dudes who are like from like Florida or some shit like that, were basically behind the whole. This whole like hotline shit where basically they exploit people, right?
Yeah.
So people call in $4.99 per minute, and they instructed the people who work for them, hey, keep them on the phone as long as fucking possible. I don't care how poor these people are. I don't care, if this
how
is like
susceptible they are, whether they have like a mental illness that is like makes them susceptible to this type of influence.
Keep them on the phone. Yeah,
And to rewind, Miss Cleo was back in like the early 2000s.
Early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. So I think she's an American woman who posed as like a Jamaican tarot card reader.
It's still. I think she is up for a debate.
Yeah, I think she is American. But like
that's a dude found a birth certificate, but there's still mystery as far as if she actually is.
But she sold the image of being like this like Jamaican woman who had the ability to like tell your future. She could do the tarot card readings and all that stuff, right?
Which again, to her that's not an act. Mm-hmm. Like to her it wasn't an act.
To her that may have been her real identity. Like, hey, I'm really this person, and I claim to have these abilities, right? And
it kind of goes both ways because there's a lot of evidence. Like, so basically, apparently, like she came up with this Miss Cleo character while doing, I don't know if it was like an improv thing in like Seattle or something like that, or like this collective basically of actors or something of that nature. So basically, there was like people saw how this character
you saw how the character was created, the origins of it,
but that still doesn't necessarily mean that all aspects of it are false.
Well, like just to backtrack and tell a little bit of backstory. So you call into this 1-800 number, and you pay $4.99 a minute, right?
Yeah, and those commercials / infomercials slapped. I'm not gonna lie.
They were they were very catchy.
Yeah,
they were polarizing. They were interesting. It hit during a time in which like people were watching basic cable TV. Yeah. Whether you're obviously it was attracting certain groups of people, right? Elderly people or people with like mental illnesses who were like home during the daytime who were susceptible to these types of things. Yeah. Call in now and I'll tell you your future. Mm-hmm. I'll give you the good news that you've been dying for. I'll reassure you of like, hey, that thing that you're worried about, that you're afraid of is not going to happen. You're gonna hit the lottery, right? As long as you stay on the phone with me for 15 minutes. Yeah. For $4.99 a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, and it wasn't always. It rarely actually, if ever, it was actually Miss Cleo that you were talking to. That it would just be some person who saw a wanted ad, and was like, all right, that sounds fun. And that's the person you're talking to. And then, yeah. So it was just like this whole big scheme that, but again, orchestrated by two rich ass dudes from Florida. But then that begs the philosophical question of, who's to blame in that case, right? Is it the face of it, Miss Cleo, who they didn't pay really at all? Or the workers that they barely paid as well? Or is it, and I ask this because it's like the same question about like, at the risk of sounding a bit Kanye-ish, it's the question about like Nazis and shit, right? Of just like, okay, well, there's Hitler, who is Hitler, but then there's all the soldiers, and it's just like, well, there's a way where you can be like, okay, well, like, hey, I'm just a soldier carrying out orders.
Yeah,
I'm just doing my job, right? But at what point do you're like, but if your job is like fucking gassing people in a chamber, I kind of feel like that's at some point there's a personal choice that happens there, right? Of just like, I'm okay with this,
or like forcing 100 people to get down into a ditch and like shooting all of them.
I feel like at some point you're like, you know what, this isn't the worst thing in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like if somebody uses like, hey, I'll pay you $100,000 a year, but you've got to kill cats like around the clock.
Around the clock.
That's I'm going to say no. To hard pass. Like
one, I mean, you're clearly doing something evil for money. You know it's evil. You wouldn't have done it. Yeah. Like you wouldn't do it to your cat. You wouldn't do it to your neighbor's cat. Like, and you're doing it for money. You're rationalizing.
Or the worst situation is if you don't give a fuck about cats and you're just like, I'm fine with this.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not a cat person. I'm not a huge cat person, but I still would say no to that. Like, the money's not worth it. But I think your question is like, who's at fault here in this particular situation? Is it Miss Cleo for like knowingly selling this false image? Like she knew that when people called in.
But again, to her, it wasn't a false image though.
Her image was real, but she was selling her likeness, knowing that the people who were buying into that were not actually receiving like her. Right? You'd call in and you'd talk to somebody else.
That is true.
Like, because they would get like 100,000 calls a day, right?
Exactly. So if they're not talking to her, then that creates a big problem because it's like, the other people she's talking to, or that these people are talking to, they're not you. So it's just like, for as much as you might be like, I can actually do this. It's like, well, you definitely know the other people couldn't.
Exactly. Because like the commercial said, call me now for your free reading. Right.
Interesting.
And when you called,
interesting take.
She knew that I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just doing the commercials.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a sense of responsibility there of like false advertising. You're falsely advertising your services, knowing that when the customer calls in, they're never actually going to receive your service.
Yeah.
So I do, I think the people behind it, like the company, the corporation, like the guys behind the veil, I do think that they bear the greater responsibility because she was just like a tool, right? She was a mechanism to them. And they were using her knowing that she would be the scapegoat in the event that like this thing all crumbles, right? Like she like it's kind of like we talked about it earlier, Amazon and Bezos, right? Yeah. The Amazon CEO now is like, hey, keep blaming that guy.
Yeah.
Because, he's the face of it. He's the face you recognize, and I'm gonna try and keep my face off of CNN. Yeah. So these people behind Miss Cleo were like, hey, you be the face. You're the star, and they probably treated her like that. You're the star. People love you. You're a celebrity.
They weren't paying her like a star.
They weren't. Yeah, but the money's coming though. The money's coming. Don't worry. But you're a star. And then now when the whole thing collapsed, it's like, well, blame her. She's the one who said call her for your free reading. We were just guys behind the scenes running the company. Yeah. They set her up. So they set me up. Remember like Marion Barry, the old DC mayor, when he got caught in the hotel room with the hookers doing coke. He's like, the bitch set me up. And they got reelected. Oh
yeah, it sounds about right. The good old days, right, with Marion Barry. No, but from what I disseminate from what you're saying, it sounds like both is what you're trying to say, because it's both the people who actually put the shit together and are using her likeliness for this, but as well as her for sort of claiming ignorance. Now, maybe the better question is the people who like the people who were like the workers who they would call in and they damn for sure knew that they weren't like fucking, fortune tellers or whatever the fuck they call themselves, right? Like psychics or whatever. Do they have culpability? Because there are a few people on the documentary who were like, as they were hearing some of these stories that some of the people who they were talking to were like, this doesn't feel right on my conscience. And then after a while they would like quit.
Yeah. I liken this to like the airlines, right? Like Christmas Day, people are trying to get home to see their families, right? And like the airlines are canceling hundreds of flights, right? And the workers at the Spirit Airlines check-in desk or the Frontier Airlines check-in desk, they're kind of like they know that like the airline canceled all these people's flights and fucked them over, right? Yeah. And they know that these people are really just trying to get home to see their families. They've been they've been in the airport for like 10 hours, and they just want answers or just information. But sometimes the airline employees are like, no, fuck you guys. Like I saw videos where the Spirit Airlines was like, the next person who says a word to me, your flight's gonna get canceled. You're not gonna get a refund. Like fuck you, right? And it's like, whoa, wait, why are you treating people like this? Because the airline says that, like, the airline says that you should, like, this is our policy. Don't answer any questions or whatever. Like the soldiers who were Nazi soldiers, you knew that what you're doing is not right. You knew that these people really didn't deserve to be treated, and you're just following bullshit orders. So I do think there is blame to go. Like if you know you're selling a fake, false bullshit product, you do own some of that responsibility, even if the company tells you have to. But at the same time, people have to like feed their families.
Exactly.
And put
I think
food
that's
on the table.
That's kind of what I would argue is that like we're looking at it from a singular point of view of just like, hey, like this thing is fucked up. But it's like, okay, but what if everybody gets that opportunity? It's like, hey, like, all right, if you're not going to do this, then hey, now we're paying, if we were paying $15 an hour, now we're paying $20 an hour, and it's going to go to this person over there so they can feed their family. You're not going to be able to feed your family. So you're fucked. And so it's just like, it's like a weird thing about economics. Anyways, I think, we'll leave it there for leave it there for now. But I think that's a really interesting conversation in terms of just like, when we see people do fucked up shit, or we see organizations do fucked up shit, it's like who's really to blame there. But interesting conversation. We'll have to table it for later. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you, but we got to fly. Have a nice Saturday.
Fade out.
We out.
Usual protocol? You missed it.
No, I was waiting to hit the thing. Usual protocol.
Fade out.
Peace, ladies and gentlemen.